Hello and welcome to the Final Bell. It is great to have you with us for another week. We are proudly presented by GMHBA, who've jumped on board with us onto the Final Bell, which is fantastic to have them as part of the podcast. It's always fantastic to have you, the listeners, as part of it. But even more so, it's fantastic to have Meg McDonald part of the podcast every single week. Hello, Meg.
Hey, Lingy. We've spent some time together this morning. It's been good.
Yes, you got to see me in my breakfast radio mode and the craziness that goes on there. We've got some Olympics to talk. We've got Jeremy Cameron, who's going to have a chat with us. We've also
Head of Game 250.
Yes, correct. We've obviously got a terrific win over the Crows. We've got a big game coming up against Freo. But let's go straight to the huge news that has just been announced. The great Tom Hawkins, I think in my eyes, the greatest forward in Geelong Cats history, has announced to the playing group and to the wider world that he, at season's end, is going to be retiring from football. It is a day of celebration, a day of bit of sadness, I must admit, as I think there's only two more left who I actually played with after Hawkey.
I wonder how many are left that Lingy played with.
Yeah, so Mitch and Cam Guthrie are the only two who will remain after Hawkey. But Tom Hawkins, where do we start? Let's spend a little bit of time. I know after he broke the game's record, we got to wax lyrical about how special he is. But now, as he's announced his retirement, what a champion.
What a champion. I feel like there will be, legend upon legend of this footy club speaking about how wonderful he is and how I'm sure he will join their ranks, your ranks, in the future for all of his achievements. But, when I think of Tom, and I've known him for whatever it is, 5 years or so now, I just think of one of the warmest people around the football club, such a beautiful family who are so generous with their time, and you see this big presence and man who's helped shape the club that I experience, and that's my impression of him. Of course, that's preceded by such an incredible playing career, which is something that you, no doubt, I'm sure, helped shape, but were part of and were there to witness. So I'll let you speak about the on-field, but I can't speak highly enough of who he is off-field. And, he's one of the ones who everyone asks when you're at the Cats, what's his person like, what's that person like? And you can answer with a smile on your face about Tom Hawkins because he's just the best.
He certainly is. Well said, Meg. And I'm glad you focused on that first and foremost, because I think that's the special part of him, is that person that he is. The on-field, and you can't just break things down to numbers, but let's do it just for a second. 357 games so far. Hopefully you've got a couple more to come. 793 goals.
Yes.
Yep. I'll have to do that. I did jump on Wikipedia, and now I'm doubting myself
Tom
as to whether or
Hawkins,
not that
AFL
is.
tables.
Thank you. So far, a Coleman medalist, 5-time All-Australian, 11-time leading goal kicker of the Geelong Cats, 3 premierships obviously as well, and playing in the position on the ground that is so difficult, where especially in modern football, but in any football in years gone by, you have multiple defenders jumping all over you. You're playing on the best key defender the opposition has to offer every single week. 793, 796. Yeah, I knew I was doubting myself. Maybe we can get Jakey to weave his magic and cut out the fact that Wikipedia said 793. I thought it was closer than that. 796 goals.
Won't be the first time Wikipedia's been wrong.
Yes. I should have gone straight to AFL tables, you're right. In such a hard position on the ground, and so much focus is always on you, but he stood up time and time again. And I mean, some of my fondest memories go back to them. It almost felt like the moment where he broke through and broke out in that 2011 grand final, where he just took over that game as still a very, very young man. And what was special to me was the amount of work that I saw go in for 5 years to lead to that moment in one game. It wasn't just this click of the fingers moment and, now this big kid who was drafted just gets it and can dominate against Collingwood on the biggest stage. No, it took a lot of work, a lot of commitment to his craft. And then from there, his career just went on a upward trajectory. Had its moments too, where he had the back issues, if you remember those, and there was question, could he get back to his best? And we all know now how his incredible record post 30 has just been unbelievable. He's going to be really, really sorely missed for his personality and the person that he is around the club, but for his on-field exploits as well.
No, absolutely. I was speaking to, I think, Stephen Wells during the week about football in general and what's the hardest thing to do, and he just said, I think the hardest thing is to kick goals, and he's managed to do that as the games, as you say, as the games evolved and probably evolved away from his particular brand, but is the way he's been able to adapt. And I think you can't underestimate, obviously we've gone through his personal achievements, but the sustained success of the team throughout his career has to speak to, your key forward of that time. And he's managed to keep the Cats on top and usher in such amazing success along the way.
100%. The really exciting thing is we're hopefully going to see him again in this season. His recovery, his rehab continues to progress pretty well. Let's fingers crossed we see him again playing in finals and getting very, very deep into finals, and who knows where that might end. Could we have another fairy tale finish? That would be pretty special.
The only knock on him is he didn't give us the exclusive last week. We had him on.
Yes. No, it would have, for somebody who loves football as much as he does and has grown up with it, and obviously the family history and everything, even though he's got this wonderful other balanced life and everything, and hopefully he transitions quite naturally and comfortably post-football, it would still be such a tough decision to make, to say, I'm not going to play this game anymore that I have loved for such a long period of time. But as I said, we might see him again before this season ends. This season, let's talk about it. We're going to talk with Jeremy Cameron in segment 2. He's about to join the podcast. You'll see some of the fact that we did speak to him a little bit earlier. I'll give that up now. We've already spoken to Jeremy Cameron. Yeah. You'll understand why later on, because we never asked him about Tom Hawkins. But kicking 6 goals was fantastic and a really good win. It was a game that was in control, and it was our game, and then it wasn't. And it looked like it was going to slip away. And then the Cats just found a way late. Brilliant moment when Lawson Humphries nails that goal.
Oh, my gosh. What a time.
First goal in footy. Jez kicks his 6th, and it's all over again.
Yep.
And then it kind of wasn't.
I know.
As Josh Rochelle headed down and just made us all sweat a little bit longer. It was an entertaining day at the footy for me, who brought my kids along, but it got stressful at times, Meg.
It did. I was sort of, admittedly, we had our AFLW season launch at Club Chin Chin prior to the game and then throughout. So I probably wasn't laser focused, and I had that sense of, when you sort of half to 3/4 watching a game because you're thinking, oh, good, like we're so fine here. We're able to, stay in front. We got off to a good start. The balls of our forward half, we've, possibly coughed up a few and perhaps didn't maximise our opportunity. But then by the time half-time rolled around and to go and speak to Cam Mooney, and I thought, I'd ask him, I reckon we're going to win this. You were right about Adelaide's threat last week. They're sort of the way they were transitioning from our forward 50 and tearing us up and out the back was really damaging. Yeah,
it was. And Jordan Dawson was critical for them in that third quarter surge that they had. He was sort of late. He just took over, started marking the ball, intercept mark, and then his great ball use. Their key forwards were very good. Darcy Fogarty, Riley Thilthorpe and Tex were marking the ball well, which continued to be a bit of a worry. We just couldn't quite get our matchups exactly right, or they isolated really well because we didn't get that extra defender help when our defenders were outmatched.
It certainly looked like it didn't. How do you say it? It didn't look like really poor defence. I mean, there were a number where the defender is right there going for the spoil, and their dukes were just really strong, and they were taking it out in front, and it became inaccessible. So you're right, they isolated well, and they've got some beautiful kicks to the footy, particularly at goal, that Adelaide team. Goal kicking excellent, field kicking some of them are superb, and they changed the angle really well, which opened us up a couple of times. I mentioned the fact that we were still able to fight back, get the win. I thought some of the great performances. Tom Stewart was excellent again. I love Sean Manners' game. Yeah. Just his busyness and hunt around the ball and his work rate. And even his, I don't know if it was first or his second goal. I think his second goal down the players' stand end. The audacity is probably too strong a word, but he's sold a bit of candy. He's looking really comfortable at the level. He's still under 10 games, but his time at the top level and at VFL level, SANFL level is really showing through because his game sense is strong and his confidence is bold.
That was a goal of the highest order,
wasn't it?
Yeah, to be able to compose, to sell the candy as you say, but then still slot it
from like the snap from tight angle. Yeah. Precision.
Brilliant performance. We do like to talk about the Bendigo Banks Meet the Moment nominees. Got a couple for me. Maybe it does end up in that Sean Manor goal. That could be one where I think, was it Ollie Dempsey gave the handball over to him? It was Ollie? Yeah. That was a brilliant bit of play. Shannon Neal. I thought his presence in that forward line was really important because and talking about the one where he took the big mark and just needed to go back and nail it. But I just think overall game, I know the Meet the Moment isn't an overall game. He had as much presence as I've seen from him in a game, which forced Adelaide to have more focus on him than I think they would have liked, which I think helped Jeremy get off the chain a bit and end up with the 6 goals. So I thought a really important game from him.
Yeah, I agree. I think thinking of a moment near the bench where he's that outlet down the line, mobile, marking target, and the mitts are getting stickier with each week. So I think his outlet, his stress release, when he sort of can clunk one is invaluable because that's not necessarily the game that we see or want from Jeremy is to be that outlet. He's, the creative. Was it 6 snaps?
I think it was, or snaps or bananas, some combination of the ball
going around the body.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Well, we have asked him about that. There you go, guys. What a game from him. The Smalls, I mean, it was. It's funny because it was a tight game, but no shortage of people to speak about performance-wise in the forward line. They were solid.
No, they were solid. I thought Tanner Bruin was really solid again. It was a win. In the end, they just had to find a way, and it wasn't perfect. And Adelaide, I think we saw glimpses of what they're potentially going to be in the next year or two. What I think a lot of experts thought they might have been this year.
Yeah.
So they're still very dangerous, and just being able to find that way. I do want to go back to it. The goal by Lawson Humphreys.
Oh, let's do it. Let's play it. Play it again, Sam.
It was as much fun as I've had at the footy all year.
Yeah.
Because we were tense anyway. I'm sitting there with my 3 boys plus one of their mates, and we were on edge when you just need to find the goal or
because it was in our forward 50 for a long time.
And at one stage I'm thinking, just get the point. I don't care.
Yeah,
make
we'll
it
catch
a
up with
draw.
points.
Yeah. And then when he's nailed it and flushed it, and I realised it was him. First goal, the crowd clearly loves him.
Yes, because he's had a few looks. That was the other thing. And then he had that shot from outside 50 that we thought, well, he's an elite kick of the footy. Maybe he'll flush this one. But for it to happen like that, and there's nothing more rewarding than the joy that, when the player just loves it. Up and about. His was one of the great goal celebrations, and it resonated throughout the stadium, didn't it?
It did. The stadium was pumping. I love the 4:35 time slot too on a Saturday. It was
love
brilliant.
The slight change in the weather. It's getting a bit better.
Absolutely, yeah. Finals, they're just, you can sniff it in the air. Yeah. The finals is
but
there.
But isn't it amazing that no team with 3 games to go is guaranteed?
No.
It's amazing.
No. It's a crazy, crazy ladder, and that's going to lead to the fact that we're going to dissect the Cats taking on Fremantle a little bit later on. Huge game. They dropped that game they had in control against the Bombers. Yep. So they slide down a little bit. They're back to their home deck. We've got to keep winning. Everyone's got to keep winning. Yep. Brisbane are on this incredible charge. The Dogs are charging. Everything's going on at the moment. Let's talk that after we have a chat with Jeremy Cameron, who's coming up next. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on To the Final Bell, brought to you by GMHBA. And as promised, we're going to go straight to the man who's fresh off 6 goals against the Crows, but also is playing in game number 250. Jeremy Cameron's with us. Hello, Jez.
How are we?
Really well, thank you. We're just working out the numbers there. 171 for the Giants and coming up to your 79th game for the Cats. 250, I know mid-career you don't often reflect, but quite a milestone. Have you had a little moment to think, geez, that's a lot of footy?
To be honest, I haven't really just yet. I was more focused on getting through the games, you know. You sort of got to take it 1 week at a time. I know everyone always says that, but my parents definitely aren't taking it 1 week at a time. They were forecasting right forward from the start of the year, and especially when I got injured, because it was meant to be the Crows last week, but I missed that one game with concussion, so it's been pushed back to WA, so everyone's booking flights and whatnot, and it's going to be enjoyable to get away with everyone, though, as well.
No, I feel a little bit funny being on air with you because you're such a pro at this, this whole media, podcast, YouTube game. No, own it. How do you see, I guess, the development, of your career? You've sort of been part of such an historic inaugural team. You've come here and had success, but also now you're in a stage of your career where you are building such an amazing presence, above and beyond your football. How do you zoom out ever, or is it still game by game?
It's sort of hard to sit back and sort of reflect. I sort of live in the moment a lot, and even right up to games, I'm always late to the game. Well, not late, but the last to the game. I sort of take everything in my stride, and that's how I've always been. So it's quite hard to sit back and reflect. But if you do look at the journey starting up there at the Giants, I was so raw and didn't know what to expect. Coming from a town of roughly 300 people and then moving to the big city, I thought I'd last a year. Ended up lasting around 10 years, which is, 9 AFL seasons, but we were up there for the NEFL in that very first year with Sheeds and Choco. And, then making my way back down here and how it's all unfolded's been incredible. It's been really enjoyable career, but if the more I reflect on it, the more I'm thankful for the people that have got me there. There's so many good people that I've had throughout my career that have helped me along the way, starting with my parents, my brother and sister, family, friends, cousins, right through to coaches, and the people that really drive you to be better. So it's been a really fun journey, I would sum it up.
It just rolls off the tongue sometimes, and I think as a footy industry, we almost expect draftees, get drafted, just hit the ground running, just be amazing from day one. But you move, as you said, from a town, a small country town, 300 people, to the biggest city in Australia, Sydney, as a 17-year-old. Am I right in saying that? Yeah. That's a huge move. I was lucky enough, I got drafted and stayed living with mum and dad for 3 or 4 years afterwards and had to drive 4 minutes down the road. How tough is that move, and how hard is it where we expect a young kid taken high in the draft, move somewhere else in the country that they're not used to go, all right, now compete in one of the most competitive sports in the world, the elite of Australian rules football, and just do a good job of it. Get on with it.
Yeah, it was sort of interesting at the start. As I mentioned, it was pretty tough in the first year, especially just finding your feet. I remember the day we went up there, and my parents come the first time and whatnot, and they come a couple of times. But when the day come where they had to go, and I was left to my own devices, and I'm looking at the washing machine, going, how's this device work? My partner Indy would say I still don't know how it works. But, it was tough, like at the start. But the club did a great job up there of keeping everyone within breakfast point. It was like our own little community inside the community, and we stuck together. And I think that's what was so important early on. You find other things to do, and for me it was golf and fishing up there, and getting out and exploring. Actually getting out of the city helped me a lot as well. So it was tough at the start.
Can I ask one more about that? Sorry. Now fast forward, you're one of the experienced players, veteran players, 250 games. You've moved clubs coming to the Cats. Do you try, when you spot a new draftee coming in who may be just finding it hard to find their feet around the club, is that where you now have a role to say, hey, I've lived this experience, here's some of the things maybe? Like, is that your leadership role now within the club?
Yeah, it's something that I do see guys that, like, it can be tough at the start, and even when it is, even when you're still living close to home, I think, as you mentioned, but it's quite tough because it's a tough, really hard sport to play. So, and you expect you're going to play. I was lucky because I was gifted. I would say gifted games early because of the way the club, was brand new up there at the Giants, and I didn't really have to do it the hard way, to be honest. And I'm very lucky to to get that start and find my way and hold my spot from there. But sometimes, you know, people expect that you're going to come in and just play straight away, but it doesn't always pan out that way. And there's so many different guys that have different journeys, and even mature age guys coming in like Shawnee Matter now and doing it the super long way. So I guess having those conversations around the club now that I'm older and letting, you know, the guys know, especially the younger ones, that it will turn eventually. Keep it up and do the right things for a long period of time, and you'll get noticed. Yeah,
speaking of doing the right things for a long period of time, and you mentioned your own age just then a little bit. I think, you know, something that comes with 250 games and a long time in the system is mastery, hopefully. And I think it's often noted amongst the commentary, often on our podcast, that you can make the ball talk, and you have, you know, we always ask you about the squeezing and that sort of thing. Where do you think that particular skill set of yours comes from? Is it a lot of playing on the farm and trying to kick the ball through a hole in the shed, or how do you? Yeah, can you speak to your control of the AFL football?
Yeah, so I didn't play much junior footy at all. Well, actually, none. I played a little bit for my school, but that was probably a couple of games. And sort of a lot of people ask me that question, where did it come from? How, you know, can you kick snaps and all these different shots and whatnot? And I put in hours and hours by myself or with friends over at the Oval. So I didn't play junior footy, but all I did was have a footy in my hands and whether it was in the front yard kicking between trees. I always used to use the power lines on our front road, and the street out the front had 3 power lines there, and I'd try and kick it up through the power lines but get it back down the same sort of, you know, power lines. And it would shape my... I didn't know this at the time because I'm only like 10, 11, 12, but those little things help. I was just addicted to kicking the footy around the yard, and Mum would say, like, it was probably annoying at times in the house, and even if I couldn't kick a footy, I was kicking a pair of socks through, you know, the doorway, or a balloon, and all these sort of things that you grow up doing, but you don't realise until you look back and go, that actually would have helped me, because I just had a love for the game, even though I didn't play it. So as I got older, you know, it became the actual goalposts, and I'd go over the Oval. We were quite lucky in Dartmoor. We lived about 200 metres away from the goalposts, and I still remember kicking my first actual goal there when I started playing when I was 15. Awesome. But just a love for the game and love for footy.
How many blackouts were you responsible for when you hit the power lines? Yeah. Is that the annoying bit for Mum?
Oh yeah, we got up to all sorts of things. We had an archway as well in the. And when Mum and Dad planted these trees, they probably didn't expect them to be goalposts, but they planted 2 trees either side of our front gate, and then as they grew nice and straight, Dad joined them together at the top, and I was flat because now my goalposts had disappeared. So, they're great memories, but all those little things, like they add up. I missed all the hundreds of hours of playing junior footy, but made up for it in my own time.
It looks like you've developed some relationships with others in the forward line who have that same sort of love and same interests and fun and play. I think, of course, we've noted this week online your on-field and off-field relationship with Brad Close, but I look at Ollie Dempsey and I think he seems like someone who hasn't played a lot of junior footy, but his mastery is coming along as well. How do you foster those relationships within a forward line? Because we certainly see it, pay dividends on the weekend.
Yeah, it's been really fun, and I think that's the main thing, to enjoy what you're doing. So these guys have come in and they're playing a magnificent role, but they've trained really hard at their craft over a number of off seasons as well, pre-seasons, and then we're seeing it in games now. So I think that's what we do so well down here. The coaching staff and the support groups are they let you be yourself out there. So you see Tyson out there kicking goals from the boundary, enjoying his time. Ollie Dempsey's handballing over his head, and he's so creative in the way he plays, and we're seeing that. It can get lost a little bit at times, and there's certain probably junior coaches that would probably not like the fancy handballs over the head and whatnot, and let's keep it all nice and straightforward, and but then you lose a little bit of that character within the player. So I absolutely love that. I love the flair that the forward line has, and not just the forward line, but the whole entire team as well. We just I've always said, we just finish off the good work that the others provide us with. So yeah, it's a great place to be in the forward line at the moment. It's really bubbly and energetic, and hopefully that takes us a long way.
Well, we know we got to let you go because we got training continuing. Make sure you keep prepping for game number 250. It'll be a big game against Freo this weekend over in Perth. Hopefully a whole heap of tickets have been bought to head on over. Just from afar, there's my observation. I love it. It's almost invigorated you. It seems to have that these young guys are almost under your care's the wrong word, but tutelage in that forward line, and you seem to be rising with it as well. So it's sensational to watch. Meg, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I know you were wrapping up. I just wanted to get one more in.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I can't not ask about the Olympics. And your athleticism is lauded, rightfully. I just want to know, what's your sort of pet event? Like on the track, what sort of distances are you like, that's me?
Oh, it's a tough one. When I was younger, I really liked the 1500.
Yeah, I see that for you.
It's a tough event. All of them are tough events, aren't they? I did remind Chucky Rowan that I think the club put up something about he would be the 100-metre sprinter for the club, but I actually run him down when I was playing for GWS Giants.
Oh, okay,
up
love
there
this.
in Sydney. So does that make me a little
footage.
bit quicker? I don't know, but we'll have to dig up that footage. But it's a wonderful thing. I've really enjoyed the Olympics and watching on at the moment. And there's been some fantastic results go our way, which has been awesome.
Thanks for indulging me in that question. You can wrap
That's
us up
okay,
now,
Meg,
Lingy.
because Meg is 100% fixated on the Olympics, and then footy's just coming second at the moment, which is fair enough, completely fair enough. Thanks so much for having a chat. Good luck this week, and congratulations again on 250 games.
No worries. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Great to chat with Jeremy Cameron. Just so you get a little peek behind the curtain here for our listeners, sometimes you've got to do things a little bit out of order.
What? Showbiz, don't tell them the secrets.
No, I know there's lots of secrets to it, but often to fit around training schedules and everything like that. Obviously, the massive, massive news of the day that the great Tom Hawkins has announced his retirement at season's end from the Cats. We spoke to Jeremy before that news became apparent and before Tom had spoken to the playing group. That is the reason why we did not ask Jeremy any questions about Tomahawk because, of course, Meg, we would have done exactly that had we known at that stage. And I'm sure Jeremy would have loved to have spoken about his good mate Tom Hawkins. But that's the reason, everyone. Don't get angry that we didn't ask. Let's take a quick break. We'll have a look at the upcoming game this week. Cats taking on Freo in Perth. Huge game of footy. We'll do a quick preview next. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on To the Final Bell, brought to you by GMHBA. As I said just before that break, everything's out of order today, but it's a crazy day. Obviously, the huge news of Tom Hawkins announcing his retirement at season's end. There's another announcement of retirement's taken place at another football club. One of the true champions of the game, Dusty Martin's going to retire from Richmond. I know he's caused us some pain over the years, but acknowledging the fact that he's one of the truly, truly great players of AFL football. So congratulations to him on a phenomenal career, as much as you tortured us Cats. Well done. Well done. What a player he is. Amongst all this craziness, Meg, and the news of Tom and everything like that, I forgot to ask about your obsessive Olympics watching. No doubt you would have tuned in to Naomi Fox's amazing win.
Some doubt because it was in the early hours of the morning and I should have been sleeping. But was that, I don't know, I don't want to carry it away. Was that one of the greatest moments in Australian Olympic? I honestly just can't. My teammates are laughing because I talk about it all, but who isn't talking about it all the time? Who isn't obsessed? I just think, Australia is obsessed with that family. I think the story is unbelievable. The excellence to win 2 gold, become the greatest ever, and then to have the focus shifted, obviously we're not, to have sisters, I've got two little sisters, and I just think, I just can't imagine what that would feel like to watch that happen for someone who's, perhaps not had the same achievements that you have. And I just think it was, honestly, I'll get emotional. I was so pumped. I was actually like 1:30 in the morning, I could spew. I was texting I was mainly texting Nina, who was our our backline coach Flinny was up. We were just absolutely loving it.
So and most other teammates all smart enough to put their notifications on silence from
Oh,
you when
yeah,
there's a big
yeah.
big event on.
Everyone, I don't know. I love drawing inspiration in storylines and from other sports, and I just think Anyway, I'm absolutely not unique in that way, but goodness me, was up and about. I was trying to convey, as you know, I live with an Irish teammate who had a go at me the other day because apparently every time someone comes on the screen, I call them a national hero. Oh, that's Paddy Mills. I can say that about him. So I've texted Rachel at 1:30 in the morning being like, watch this 15-minute sister interview. You've got 5 sisters and she's won gold, Rachel. You've got to watch it. Congrats. Whew. How good are the gals?
Yeah, love it. It's as I said, I'm an Olympics fan too. I love watching as much as I can. I love the impact it has on the next generation, the kids, and seeing their passions ignite. I love watching random other sports that you just don't watch for 4 years, and then you get to watch and you just appreciate the amount of work and commitment that would take to achieve what they've achieved. Sensational stuff.
Because once every 4 years, my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, the risk v reward is enormous. Credit to them. We get to go every weekend.
We do. You get to start yours very, very soon, August 31st. AFLW season kicks off against the Demons here at GMHBA Stadium. I know you had your season launch on Saturday.
Officially launched.
And can I officially congratulate you on your 5th season as captain of the Cats? I know that it was you knew and it was going to all be locked away, but officially announced at the season launch. So congratulations again. Looking forward to it. So it's some match simulation this week. Yep. Then you head into a practice match against the Bombers.
Yes, that's right, up at Windy Hill. And then 2 weeks and round 1 out here.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. August 31st. Cats fans, get there. Let's go.
Yeah, tickets are on sale now too. So if you want to grab your tickets for that first game, please do so. Hopefully we get a huge crowd and hopefully knock off the Demons to kickstart the season. Let's look ahead to this Saturday. The Cats taking on Fremantle at Optus Stadium, 4:35 p.m. That's our time.
Mm-hmm.
Huge game. You said earlier on in the podcast, right now, there's, 12 teams that can probably still play finals. Different positions within the finals are all up for grabs. We've just seen the top team on the ladder lose by 112 points. We've just seen the Brisbane Lions win their 8th in a row, I think it is, and are flying. The Dogs are flying. The Blues lose one with the kick after the siren against the Pies.
Doing absolutely nothing for the defenders having a ping at goal there, Mitch McGovern. But
so it's a huge one against the Dockers. And for the majority of that game against Essendon, they looked every bit the top 4 team that they were shaping up to be. They lose it by a point.
Yeah.
They're going to be hungry and ready for a big contest.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you watched much of them or have you called them at all this season?
I haven't called heaps of them, but I do watch them a lot. I'm a Caleb Sarong fan. I've known Caleb since he was about 15 or 16 years old and love...
Is he local? Or?
No, he's a Gippsland boy, but he went to school locally at Geelong Grammar, and we sort of stay in touch a little bit, and I love tracking his career and how he's travelling. Now one of the true elite midfielders in the competition. Might be a little sneaky for the Brownlow as well, the way he keeps going. But
heard it here first.
So I love watching Caleb, and I love the way Fremantle play. Joel Corey's an assistant coach there too, so I love watching them. But I don't want them to play like that this weekend because they put some genuine speed on the game at times.
Well, I was going to say I don't admittedly follow them as much as it sounds like you do, but when we've had a few games, I've got to check the record, but they've certainly beaten us once, twice, multiple times across the last couple of seasons.
Down here occasionally.
I know, I think twice maybe down here. But I'm happy, glad that I think our team's got a little more leg speed in it, at the moment and these days, and the emergence of players we, wax lyrical about, Ollie Dempsey, et cetera, for, most weeks this year. But, our smalls are hitting some serious form, and I think that's going to be essential on a deck like Freo have got with their spread and their speed to be able to match. It's going to be crucial.
It will be. Potential ins, outs, who knows? As I always say, always check the GMHBA health update for a much more accurate.
Yeah, there's going to be a
injury.
bit going on the channels today, I think. So have a look, because I've got no clue when it comes to the health update. But obviously we want Sam de Koning to be
So
okay,
we haven't heard much more from that yet, have we? No. So they're just going through all the processes. I admittedly was worried, like the other 30-odd thousand at the ground, that it was something incredibly serious. I'm not gonna jump to conclusions yet. We'll wait and see. Check the GMHBA health update. Gary Rowan would be clear of the protocols, but obviously there's still a process in place to make sure that he'll be potentially right to go. They're probably the two possible in-out that may happen. But as I said, do check those health updates. It feels like as we head into these later games in the season, it becomes certainly still looking for opportunities for a player to come in and have a real impact, but the side starts to settle a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's probably settled in a way that's different to what it has been in the past. I'm sure if you said at the start of the season, does our best team look like Tom Stewart in the midfield, Sean Manor holding down a spot in the forward line, possibly, but it's not probably what we would have placed our bets on. So it's exciting. That's part of the season. It has to evolve. And it was great to see Tanner come back in so well across the last couple of weeks. I think Ollie Henry's hitting some form again.
Yeah.
He's jumping at the ball really well. And, I dare say Jack Bowes isn't a sub for our best games. He's been in some form this season as well. So the mix will be interesting. Who did Zach Tui come in for on the weekend? Well, Reece came back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the only question with the size of Freo.
Yes.
Darcy and Jackson, their forward line functioning really well. Again, let's hope it's not a serious one, but if we say Sam de Koning misses, finding that, just the way we juggle that part around with being able to match their size, but obviously still play to our strengths, will be a real challenge. Where I thought Reece was terrific on the weekend and had a really good game. So how does that look with Reece and Blitz versus Darcy Jackson? Does their forward line end up? Do we need to do anything? It's not a massive forward line except when Jackson's down there. Yeah. So they're all the little things that will be interesting to see around the week with selection if Sam doesn't come up. So that's going to be one challenge. But I so often say this, that the A grade midfield of both teams is where it'll be won or lost a little bit. Can Sarong and Brayshaw and that really dominate the clearances, or can we get the result like we had on the weekend and get a really great clearance result, and almost were able to control huge parts of the game because we were pumping it out of the middle so much.
Yeah, one player we haven't mentioned today is Patrick Dangerfield, and his speed and power was really crucial on the weekend. His desperation, we know how much he gets up for games like this, and I think it was said on the commentary, but it's worth making a point of as we speak about playing 250ths, retirements, to maintain his athleticism in that way and to be so springy at 33, 34 is really incredible. So
I think 9 clearances on the weekend for Paddy.
Yeah,
Which is huge.
and just the way he takes off, and he takes territory first and foremost with his 20-metre sprint off the mark, and then obviously he's one of the most penetrative kicks.
I know it's not ideal. We don't want to manufacture an injury for Paddy every year, but I don't mind Paddy having a little period during the middle of the season and having him in this explosive form late in the year. It certainly gives us our best chance. So a huge game. We will wait and see how it pans out. Obviously, massive news all day today. Check everything to do with the Cats throughout the day, throughout the week. The website, all the social media channels. Check that health update. Read all the stuff and listen to all the stuff about Tom, because I'm sure there's going to be lots of stuff coming through. It'll be fantastic. As we did say,
another couple of weeks of just celebration.
Yep. Hopefully we see him again before the season is out. That might do us, Meg. There's been a lot happening today. Really appreciate Jeremy Cameron coming in to join us in between all his training sessions. We will be back next week to talk about hopefully a good win over the Dockers. You continue to enjoy your Olympic watching. Get some sleep.
A bit more sleep at the moment, I reckon. I am sleeping. I am resting. I promise. Guys, just It's all good.
It's okay. You can keep getting up.
I actually do the equation in my head. What's more beneficial, this hour of sleep or this level of inspiration? And I fall on the side of inspiration.
Good. I love it. Continue to do that. Thank you, Meg. Great to see you again. Thanks to all the listeners. We will be back next week.